Well, if the money follows the student, doesn't that really hurt the small rural school districts too?
It does, but they were gonna put in a little, formula to take care of the small rural schools. It hurts, we're kind of like the middle class. We're about in the middle. And our attendance is really good with our students, and that actually hurts us on this project, because they had some formulas there. We're not the largest school, we're not the smallest. We don't have a huge amount of free and reduced lunch like some school districts do. So it just kind of, we're kind of like in the perfect storm area. Now, West Ada, which is the largest school district, they got hit extremely. I mean, they're like $13 million or something of loss. So they'll fight it pretty hard as well. Yes.
Isn't there another financial issue with the Supreme Court?
Well, the lawsuit? Yeah, we have a lawsuit that we're all subject to, and I've just got another report on it. Every school district in the state's being sued currently about, and it's kind of a class action lawsuit that for, in regards to fees upon students and families. And, you know, when we heard the fees, they want it where you can't charge for extracurricular activities, which we currently do to help offset those. You can't ask for, in the past, there's been times when schools would ask for, you know, please submit, you know, 1 box of Kleenex for your classroom as for just the general public rather than just for your student. You can't do that anymore. You're not supposed to do that. You can ask for school supplies, but you can't ask, you know, for things that that student will use, nobody else, and that is disposable. So, you know, it's one of those that they're trying to pinpoint, and the purpose is what we believe the person who's the lawyer against it. He is Mr. Huntley, who used to be on the Idaho Supreme Court, and now he is retired from that, and he is going back and he wants to fight this. His goal is to get the legislators to start putting more money into the school systems. My concern is he's going through all the schools. If he wins, we would have to go back to all the way to 2012 and reimburse every family and try to figure that out, which is pretty almost impossible. I just sent them documents, probably about 300 pages of documents of, you know, I had Jen worked on it for a long time and doing everything that we could show. Our attorney's hoping to be able to throw out almost all the school districts except for the 2 schools that, the 2 students that are listed are in, and not make it a class action suit. My concern with the legislators is there could be a possibility that would happen just like they did in 1995. We had some school districts that sued the state for inability, or for not meeting their constitutional requirements of facilities. And I believe the main person was the superintendent in Cottonwood, Stan Kress. And they won. The school districts won. So the legislators were supposed to provide money for facilities. And this is when they call it, we call it the SOL. It really fits. What it's student occupied building funds. And what it is every square foot of buildings where students are in, we have to dedicate, well, how much is it per square foot? Like $69 or something like that. Dedicate amount of money for facilities. They didn't increase our amount at all. They just said, you know, we've given you $1, Rather than give you $1.20, now we're telling you 20 cents of that dollar has to go to facilities. So basically, and custodial work covers that. So what schools did is just said, now we have to put all of our custodial costs into the SOB, line item. Because we didn't have any more money. We were still scraping, trying to pay heating bills, the heating, electrical, and all those bills. And so we didn't get $1. That scares me that this could happen again, because they, that's what they did to us. So that's why, our facilities in the state of Idaho are not something to be proud of, unfortunately, in a lot of school districts. Other questions you have? Yes.
I have a couple first one's really simple. When you talk about the kindergarten, when you talk about the kindergartens being all day, what is all day for a kindergarten? Time-wise?
About 7.5 hours, or about 7 hours, with recess and that.
They go about 8 and then to 3:30, something like that?
No, what is it, 8:20 to 3:15, except for Fridays they get off early. So same as all the other students, so. Yeah.
Now, the second question is a national one. When you say that you don't have that many applications, is that because anything to do with Idaho in general? Or are we talking about a lower number of people graduating from universities with education degrees?
Yes. Both. Idaho is harder to, because the pay is less. They can, just like right now, they can go 6 miles away and probably get a $20,000 increase. Except for a better school district. I can say that. And also, a lot of people are not going into education right now. You look at it, and just like Idaho, with that, the advertisement that Albertsons put out here a few years ago, that really beat up the teachers. I will tell you, my wife is a teacher, and she, would dedicate herself. I'll tell you, the first 3 months of school every year would come home at 10 o'clock when the custodian kicked her out because she just wanted those perfect lessons. She put 8 hours every weekend into her job at the school just so that she, would do that. And then you get these advertisements that make it sound like, the school system is not doing well for the students. We are not 49th in this nation for academics ability. We're up there almost in the top 1/3. We're 49th in funding. That's where we're hurting. So, we beat up these teachers pretty hard, and they're looking at it and going, I've got a science degree to teach, or I can go into the private industry and make double what I do in teaching. And that's what we're fighting.
Can you talk about starting salary for teachers in this district?
Yeah, starting salaries is 40,
Oh, no.
no, 35.7, 35.7, sorry, 35.7. And it's, someone says, well, they only work 9 months. Well, I would tell you, the 9 months are long hours. I would say that you gotta be careful. It's almost like saying farmers only work 9 months. That's what I always say, because a farmer, what does he do during the winter months? He's maintaining his equipment, doing all those different things, maybe doing a lot of the paperwork that's needed and so forth like that. At least that's what my uncles always tell me. They're doing a lot of those different things. Teachers are going back to class, they're doing a lot of academic, work, prepping for their classrooms, they're coming into their classrooms. trying to get things set up. And, you know, those are some of the jobs they do. So they are working, just you don't see them. They work longer hours. They don't leave at 3:30. They're working hours throughout the night grading papers and different things and preparing for the classroom. I do say our teachers are dedicated. They want to do well for our students. They know the expectations in town of Moscow is really high because we're a university town. I mean, and that has helped us a lot, being a university town. The commitment to education is great here. And so I want to say thank you to you guys because that helps us.
I would clarify a point. The average work year is 2,000 hours. There's a study done in Washington a few years ago, and there was another one done in the Midwest, I don't remember where. And they surveyed a number of school districts, and the average teacher was working 52 hours a week. So you take that 52 and you divide it into 2,000 and discover how many weeks they have to work, and you'll discover that they earn their, quote, summer vacations off.
Yeah.
But the question that I wanted to ask is, when the recession hit in 2008, the 2009 legislature whacked the K-12 budget for the state. It was my understanding of a report that was done out of Boise, some research, I don't think they were connected with BSU, that it took us until the 2017 legislature to get the millions for public schools, K-12, in Idaho, back up to the dollar level of what they were in 2008. So 9 years.
Yeah.
So this last year was really the first year we had an increase over what it was in 2008. And on top of that, it's my understanding that we have 20,000 plus more students in the state in K-12. If those two numbers are accurate, we're still behind, right?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely still behind. We are not at 2018. I think last I heard we were closer to 2014. So we had some increases, but yeah, we're still not what would you say, whole. You know, and that's one of the things too, they always talk about, well, you guys have been increasing. We do. A public school, you know, costs increase and, you know, our expenses increase like this. The thing is, you know, one person brought this to my attention, and, you know, sometimes in the private sector, you know, things go well, and all of a sudden people really do well in their funding, I mean, in their earnings, and they do really well. And then, we all know, then it crashes, and they're down here. Problem is, and then they get mad because teachers are still getting pay raises or things like that. But we don't have those big spurts. So we're going up here, and here's someone, and they may go up, and when they come down, they feel like they crashed really hard, but they crash back down to where the teachers were still going. So does that make sense? And so that's kind of the factor, is we don't have those big spurts of, you know, like a big, you know, increase of kids doesn't mean a big increase in our salaries. It just means that we get more programs. The other thing I always will say is the kindergarten thing was an economic thing too, why we went with all-day kindergarten. Is because the state of Washington, they support the all-day kindergarten program and funded that. So we knew they were going to go to all-day kindergarten over there. Well, I know I would like to see young families move to Moscow. And